My wife got a new exercise bike, and we can now get inside and see what we got in here. Looks like it was packed pretty well. Okay, order-wise, looks like you pull these guys out first, and you pull all the foam pieces out and lay them out. After you get most of these pieces out, you start to get the one last big piece out. There are some extra pieces here on the side of the foam. Everything unbagged. We got a nice set of tools right there and a manual, a couple of large parts, some tubes, some pedal pieces, the computer, and yeah, it actually doesn't look like that many things to put together. So if we go a little wider here, you can see once you get everything out of the box, and those are my tools down there on the left, but it looks like they've got pretty much everything you need included on that that grid of tools over here. All right, we've hit step one, which uses this tube, and you know it's the correct one because it's the one with the wheels. There's a similar one, doesn't have the wheels. That's not this one. You want the wheels. You want the wheels facing away from the, I'm gonna use a technical term and call it the pedally part. You need these carriage bolts, and the thing labels really nicely which ones you need. You need these curved washers, and make sure the curved part is facing the curve. It kind of makes sense, right? So you want to get these guys in first. Drop in like that. And get them through the hole. Just lift that guy up a little bit. Put the curved washer on so it matches the curve. And then just finger tighten the bolts first. Curved washer. Let's find where I put the other nut. Right there. All right. Okay, once you have them finger tightened and you've got the washers facing the curve really nice, like you want to make sure that those washers are flush against the metal. There we go. Once you've got it to that, then you can take the little hex wrench tool that came with it, and no, that's my son over there asking questions. We're gonna put that in here, and we're gonna use the multifunction tool, it looks like it's the end piece here, just to hold that nut in place. And then we're just gonna go and do, so that you don't wanna bend the metal, but enough that it feels nice and tight. You finger tighten both sides first to make sure everything is nice and even. Okay. If it's your first time joining my channel, welcome to 100 Hobbies with Brad, where I have like 100 different hobbies. And sometimes I'm also just building things. All right, that is on there nice. That is the end of step one. Yay! Okay, step two, 2 carriage bolts of the same type, 2 more of the 54s. That's easy. Here they are. And there we go. We're going to use these 54s this time to connect the other tube on the other pole. Okay, so looks like we can now lift this guy out of the way a little bit. Hey, look, the wheels work. That's useful. And we're going to use it onto the curved down tube piece with the holes on the end, which appears to be this guy. All right, so that guy's next. And it basically looks like you're going to do the exact same process with the exact same parts. So you need 2 more of these pre-curved washers. I will say it is useful just to have a utility knife. That appears to be the only tool that isn't already in the packaging. And you technically could just use scissors, but utility knife's always handy a thing. So I need those. I need the other 2 nuts. These are the last 2 of these high cap nuts. If you are following along and building this at home, that's those on the instruction sheet, and those are the curve washers. And just confirm these are washer 42, yep, washer 42, and basically do the exact same thing, but this time with this guy. It looks like, if you look at the diagram, you can see how this has some pieces that are extending, like it's not centered. And the drawing, it shows the extending pieces here face away from this, which means that your carriage bolts with their convenient little square edge go in that way. And that way. All right. Now the carriage bolts should sit nicely in those little squares. And you can just hand tighten these again. And then same process. Once you get it basic hand tightened. Oh, actually these are two different. This one has a flat bolt, so that's fine. Carriage bolt. So there's two different styles for these. One, it uses the bolt inside to hold it. The other style you need to do with just the wrench, and then the little square holds it in place. All right. That is nice and secure. And then this one you gotta do the hold because it's got the nut on the other side. There we go. That is in. Look at that. Actually, I guess technically just like that. Oh, these rotate, so I guess you can really just put that the direction you'd like. So there we go. That's step 2. Step 3. Step 3 looks like a lot more washers and bolt pieces if you look at it. There's a nice little exploded diagram here of stuff. Step 3 time. Step 3 looks like we're going to be attaching the, connect the heart rate line to the main frame and the heart rate line to the front frame. So that looks like it's take this guy, turn it around. Let's move the computer out of the way. Oh, that's metal. Let's align this so it looks like the picture, because that always makes things easier. So we're going to move some stuff out of the way here. Reposition some things. We're going to take this, put that there, take that, use the convenient wheels, and put her down on this side. Put your finger in there. Hey look, there's connectors. Look at that. They look, oh, they have patterns. Patterns are your friend. So match up the patterns. So dashes and X's go together. It says take this and put them together. That's actually really easy. They just kind of push together. Then you take the number 83 spring washers, arc washers. Yeah, so it's 40, 83, 42. So we need 4 more of those. And for the first time, we're going to use the number 42, the number 83s, the spring washers. These are your spring washers. Spring washers have the little cut and the push to the side. save yourself some time later, put the spring washers on each one. Then put your arc washers with the curve facing, so you want the bend to be towards the screw. You want them to up and out. So the low part is towards the screw head. So get all 4 of them set up like that. Then you're going to use the handy multifunction guy, and you're going to put these 4 on. There's one more piece actually, number 25, the foot adjust. I think that's this. Hold on.
The rower would probably be pretty comparable in length, right?
Yeah, probably. Oh, there we go. So this is the adjustment foot. This is the first part you want to put in. So you just kind of spin that guy in and use that to help basically, I think, level it. Then you take each one of these and you just start to line them in first, and then just finger tighten first always. And then after you kind of get them all in place, that's when you're going to want to actually start to tighten things down. Now, because you're actually going to be screwing these into the frame, these are going to take a little more force than the ones that did the sides, the carriage bolts, because those are bolts. These are actually screws. Okay, so I've got the 4 of those kind of in. I can't really finger tighten them anymore. You want to make sure as you go to do this that you then rest and rotate those washers so they're in place, and we'll go one at a time and get those guys in. You don't want to get them all the way tight first. You want to get them all pretty close and then do a final tightening pass. Hi, honey, how are you? Yeah, this bike is for my wife. My wife is also, it's her birthday. This is a birthday gift. And so I'm working to get this thing assembled. Not actually live streaming, so I can just cut any of that. Ooh. These ones are, because you're screwing into metal. you also want to make sure that you've got this frame nice and straight as you tighten these nice and tight. I'm going to adjust that position so I can get in here, lift it off the ground a little bit. Gives me a little more leverage to tighten this up. There we go. Okay. There we are. That is nice and tight. We've got the little rocker foot here at the bottom. We can use to adjust the ground height and level it off real nice. Cool. Says we'll need, well, shocker, we'll need the seat. And we will need the thing the seat attaches to. Conveniently, we're down to only a couple big parts left. Which is pretty great, seeing that we're only pretty early in this. This thing. Seat go this way. Okay, I can understand that. And then we use two different sizes and 3 total bolts and washers to attach it. We need one 40 and a 59. So that's these guys. So a 40. And for that 40, we need a 59 plain washer, which we haven't used those yet. So I'm opening up step 4. First time we need these. Put that washer on there, save us some time. And actually it looks like we'll need 3 of those total because we need them to go on the 2 number 56 bolts. Also our first time using them, that's those. The number 56 bolts. Okay, now we got those. Put the washers on them. And it looks like we just screw all of these in. These are hex again, so we use our trusty hex key there. And it looks like the easiest way to actually do that is just flip it upside down. The seat, pointy end goes forward. The whole thing's going to look like that. What you do is just flip this guy this way, and you can see where all the holes line up real easy. You know, it's going to be easier. Yeah. So what I recommend is drop these in first and get your all your bolts in place. Oh, careful, that's greasy. So that's probably to hold it onto things later and keep the action smooth, but don't put your hand in there. All right. This one's kind of a three-handed one. So I'm gonna look at lining that up. And if you've paid attention so far, yes, I am finger tightening these first. A couple of turns lets us know things are registered, that it's going to be smooth from there. That wasn't too bad. Once you got them in there, there's like no resistance in getting these in. These are nice and easy. When you hit enough resistance that you're tight on the washer, there's not a lot of travel in this. watch out for the grease on that one a little bit, or wear gloves. All right, that step looked a little daunting. But in the end, actually, it's pretty darn easy to get that together. All right, let's see what step 5 is. Step 5, well, that makes sense. Put the other part on this thing. And then back cushion 6. The JEEKEE. Looks like we've got 4 number 56s with 4 59s. That's easy. So that's 4 of the flat washers that we used before. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4 of the number 56 bolts, which is the long ones we just used as well. So that would be all of them. Get our washers on first. I know, a little bit of a broken record, but preparation and planning gets it done, right? And we'll do the same thing where we're going to actually drop all those in nicely and then line it up and finger tighten in. That one, number 2, 3, and 4. All right, so you can see them all hanging down here, which means they're all in nice and straight. The pointier part of the seat goes up, according to the manual. Okay, now we just bring that guy in for a little land in here. Tip that out a bit. Almost there. Yay! Finger tighten. See, makes that nice and easy. Now we just real tighten. And since there's no clearance issues on these, we can actually go tighten these guys pretty quick. Looks like I missed a little on that one, but conveniently the other ones are in really good shape. There we go, got it. Remember, we're going to get these all pretty tight, but not super tight yet. We're just going to get them all pretty good. The point where we start feeling like some noticeable resistance. Okay, now once you've got that, make sure it's nice and aligned and everything has good fit. And what we're going to do is we're going to tighten these all in, and now we're going to go on a cross pattern and get these really tight. Well, we're starting to look like we have a recumbent exercise bike. And a beautiful day outside to ride it. I may hop on this myself. Okay, look at that. Those parts together. Step 6. No, there you go. That's what it should look like with the bolts. Loosen the seat knob on the seat screw, that guy, but don't pull it completely out, just loose. Okay, so basically you unscrew it about 10 or 15 times, and so it's still well screwed in, but then you pull, and if you look down, you'll see that the channel is clear. The pin is all the way out of the way. And then you want to insert track pipe 9. That would be track pipe 9. In. Let's see, is track pipe 9 equidistant? Track pipe 9 looks pretty equidistant. And it says insert track pipe 9 from the back. Oh, duh. These holes need to be on the same side as this, so it definitely matters. And you insert it from the back. Okay. Definitely some wiggling involved in getting that guy in. And basically you want to get that in the direction of the hole. So let's go the other way here. Let's use gravity as our friend this time. There we go. And then you can now start to hear when it lines up and snaps into the pin. So we're gonna put it about halfway through until we have a good pin. There we go. Look at that. You can loosen, you can tighten, you can pull the pin back. Seriously? That was step 6? Woohoo! Step 6 was easy. Because there's kind of a lot of little bits to step 7. So, one, you got these wires you're going to have to be aware of here and not use them in this step, but keep them out of the way. We're going to be putting this onto here and running the bolts through. It's actually pretty obvious in terms of how it goes, which is good. So we line that up and we sit that in nice and easy. It looks like we need 4 sets of 40s and 59s. So that's these, the 40s, and those, the 59s. And in fact, these should be your last 4 59s. And you should still have a bunch of the 40s. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm sure I'm going to have to go around on this one a little bit to get all this in. Okay. Go and do that guy first. Give it a little pressure. Okay, that's finger, that's just ever so slightly in. I don't want to push these in more than I need to until I have all 4 sides in really nice. And the reason for that is we want this thing to be nice and straight and level. And well, that's easier to do if all of your screws are nice and level. Okay. All right, now that we have those finger tight in, things are pretty well aligned. So we start tightening them up. And we're not going to tighten, again, we're just going to get them in pretty deep and in, but not so much that we are like super cranking against stuff. And especially with these pieces and the tolerances, you might have to push a little more in a few spots to get these ones in, but it's not too bad. All right. Now that one is kind of like washer tight on that side. And do the same here. Get this washer tight. And what I mean by washer tight is the washer is flush against both the screw head and whatever you're screwing it into, but not so much that you have started squeezing the life out of it. Righty-tighty, because I'm doing this backwards. Well, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey works all the time, but when doing things backwards, it helps to say it and think about it, at least for me. All right, it's in pretty good. Get this bad boy back here. There we go. Now we tight. And look at that. We're burning through steps. That's step 7. Magic of editing. We turned it around. Step 8. Step 8 is to take the handlebar thingy and attach it to there, and also to connect these wires to these wires. Okay. So we need a 49, an 83, and a 42. 2 sets of that. 49, 83, 42. So the 49s, they're going to be long screws. Oh, these long hex bolts down here. Let's pop these guys out. One, two, then an 83s, a pair of 83s, which is these spring washers from many times, spring washers, and 2 42s, which are arc washers. The arc washers. All right, now let's put those together with spring and then arc. Remember, we always want the arc, the tall part, the drop in the arc to be towards the screw head, with the curve towards the curvy part of that. Okay, and that. Oh, when you put this on, you want the clicky metal things here, the heart rate sensors, to be facing up. Makes sense. All right, we're gonna put these in just right through first. Makes our life easier. All right, so there we go. Those go that way, and those go that way. Look at that. There we go. Perfect. We come up here and get those kind of in place. And what do? Finger tighten. Okay. We want to make sure we got the rotation angle on this feeling good. Okay. Hex wrench again. And put that in. This is a shout out to everybody who's made a YouTube video that's helped me in the past. This is me trying to help somebody else in the future. So if you're watching this and you're at home putting this bike together, hi, and hopefully I'm helping you. And, you know, on our fitness journeys together. Well, and my wife's fitness trainer. So, those things are in. Next is the plugging of the things. Match and link the heart rate line of the seat handlebar with the heart rate line of the rear frame. All right, that would be these. And these appear to be identical, so we're going to go with it works both ways. If that's different, I will cut something in right now or show me flipping it around. But I mean, worst case scenario, you unplug that and you switch them around. At least it's easy to access. All right, that is the end of step 8. Step 8 was actually pretty quick and easy. Holy crap, we almost done. We have approached step 9. Step 9 is on the other side, so I'm gonna cut here and flip this around. And just like that, we turned it around. Step 9. We don't have that many parts left, so I'm guessing this is one of them. It is indeed assembling this, and there's some small little intricate steps here that we'll kind of go over as I read them and do them in real time here. So, the first thing I want to see is what hardware do we need out of the hardware kit. Because I always want to make sure I have all of that ready to go. And that looks like we're going to need, it says number 52. Oh, 52 is actually a piece inside of here. This thing is number 52. Oh, this is all the throttle pieces. That makes sense. Oh, actually, you know what? We don't bolt anything up this step. This is actually just plugging things in and aligning them. So let's do this nice and slow and make sure we get this right. First, connect number 53, the sensor line, with 46, the sensor line below. So there are a couple of, so you put your hand in here and pull, you got a couple of cables. You actually have quite a few cables. You have 4. There are 4 cables that that come out of here. 2 of them are the black and white heart rate line ones, and one of them is all black cables on this one, and has a little different plug. It has a male plug, if you can see that on here. So it says to grab the one that is that first, the one that's the male plug on this side, and plug that into number 46 on this side here. So we lift that up, and conveniently, there's only one way that can work because there's only one female plug in there. Okay. Then it says C graph A to pull up the pieces. Oh, actually, no. Then it says do the heart rate lines next, which are these two right here that we've done similarly on the other pieces, the 2 heart rate lines. Okay, so now out of the 4 things that are there, 3 of them are now connected, and there's only one way they can kind of go, so that makes it pretty easy. Now is the part on this inset graph right here, which is around connecting and setting up this line. I think this is the resistance line. All right, so we're now going to deal with connecting these and these. Eventually, this whole piece is going to sit like this, and that's how you'll have access to everything. So for right now, when we look at this, what we're going to do is we want to take this metal tube piece here, and we actually want to lift that up, this clip piece up, and feed it through. So you just kind of hook it in there so that it's actually able to pull against that spring. It's actually not too bad at all. Then you want to bring this piece here in and set that down through there. So in the end, you have the black tube here coming down into the silver part. The silver part gets hooked in by this clip, and then the clip down here holds the bottom. So once you have all of that together, that's when you can then lower this piece down and line it in like that. So it looks kind of complicated, but once you just see it's just flip the little hook in, lift it around, and snap it in place. It's actually very, very simple. Okay, for step 9, I just wanted to recap that a bit up close. So I've already done it here, but just to show you what it looks like when it's together, and these things come up, is that you have the heart rate sensors go together. These are the heart rate sensors here. You have the other computer sensor here that goes in, the only one it can fit. And then lastly, you have the metal bracket piece with the tuning adjustment. For this one, you want to get this piece that comes down from the black tube into this little, you know, half circle hook. You just kind of feed it into the side and it just rests against it. Then you want to make sure that you have the top part of it here aligned with where these forks come down and get that piece in there. So that when you tighten the control, this pulls up on this spring here. All right, and then you just carefully feed all of that down as you then bring this down and align it with these bolts. Then you can go on to step 10. Step 10 looks like you need 3 sets of identical screws up here, and then after you finish that, you need a 4th set of screws, it looks like. Okay, so one you can see for sure on the instructions is that we want to make sure the curve is facing the flat of this, and we're going to finger tighten this guy in. Okay, so this is why I should read the instructions in detail first instead of guessing. So just to be clear, you want to put these ones, this style, on the bottom 2 on the side, not the bottom one through the forward axis here, and not the top one through that axis. This, the short one, goes up here by this one. And the reason is that this one and this one are through bolts that we'll do in the second part of step 10. But first we got to get these guys in. Thankfully we got enough clearance here so we can really now start to get these past finger tight to tight. There we go. This whole thing is actually quite solid. Okay, now we need to use the number 41. Finally get to use these here on step 10. You take the long bolts, thread them through, you attach the nut and the washer over here, get the water. And you just tighten these up. Next, you want to pull these cables out and attach them to the electronics. There's only one way the plugs go in, so it makes it kind of easy. All right, move those rubber bands out of the way, and we can push some of those electronics back down into the machine. And they've already got the screws here in place. You're going to pull these out and then place them right there and get it all nice and lined up. And what you'll see is there's like a nice spot where this all lines up real good. I'm going to move that rubber band out of the way a little bit. You don't need to get this whole thing particularly cranked down. Make sure you don't pinch any of the wires though. So you want to be careful of that. But there we go. Right. These go in pretty much like normal bicycle pedals. However, it's fair to say if you've never done a normal bicycle, there is a little bit of a trick to this stuff, and that's why they put this here to make sure you do it right. So in the case of the right one, you want to tighten the right pedal clockwise to the right crank arm. On the left pedal, it's backwards, it's counterclockwise. So we're going to do this one first, and then after you're done is when they recommend connecting the rubber straps. So first you want to cut this off. And the reason they have this there is just to make sure that you look through the instructions and do this properly. So for the right one, we're going to hand turn this to the right. Don't use pliers, don't use anything crazy, just hand tighten. when you get it pretty close, when it stops, when the pedal moves separately from the bolt, like there's this extra piece right there in the middle, that's when you take the multi-tool. And you'll see there's a flat side to that bolt. That's when you want to get this part. Let's see, one of these is going to be the right one. Ah, yep. It's the big guy with the big hook here. And you want to get that in place, and you hold the pedal, and you turn that to the right. So you got pretty good pressure there, but not crazy. I'm going to set lower resistance on this right now for easy pedaling. I'm going to even try some high resistance now. Yeah, that's higher. All right, but that pedal on that side is now on. So the next thing you want to do here is take the foot straps, and you want to take the one that's labeled R for, you know, right, and you want to actually tilt this out of the way. Start with the bottom strap, the smallest nook in the bottom there, right there, and get that in and pretty tight around the spot. The reason you do it that way is that you have as much leeway as possible to adjust it for your foot on this side. And then for right now, I'm just going to put it on kind of a middle one. Okay, we're going to flip this around and you're going to look at the other side. Okay, here we are on the left. Putting on a bicycle wheel on the left. Left is backwards. It is lefty-tighty, not righty-tighty. So you want to get that in, and then you want to just hand, not tools yet, hand twist that boy in. Okay, and when you get to the point where, oh, hey, like before, the pedal spins, but the bolt in the middle doesn't, that's when you take this tool again, use the big curved one to get right in there, holding this and turning. And again, you want to go that way, counterclockwise, to tighten that in. That is now in, and now pedals like a bicycle. All right, same procedure. We're gonna turn this sideways and get this strap here in, around, and pulled. We're gonna put this on somewhere right in the middle. It's for testing, because obviously you'll adjust this when you get your shoes in there and get that up to your standard. And then we look and we say, oh, that was step 14. Oh, hey, now we're just at operating the bike. Look at that, we're assembled. Well, thank you for joining me today on how to assemble the JEEKEE Recumbent bike. This is a pretty sturdy bike at a pretty reasonable price. I got the seat adjusted for me back here, and I don't know, it looks like I might put a few miles on this thing myself. So, thanks for watching, and come back again soon. And here's my wife trying out the bike on a beautiful sunny day.